So guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you are. Guys, I wanted to do this video. I'm going to talk about a few things in this video, but I want to talk about the Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Davis. Ryan Garcia said he prefers a fight with Gervonta Davis over Devin Haney. Before I get into it, smash the like button, guys. Make sure to smash the like button. I really appreciate the support. So hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. And share the video as always. Hit the subscribe button, guys. And smash the like button. Helps with the algorithm, as you guys know. But let's get into the video. So basically, Ryan Garcia has basically said that he wants to fight Gervonta Davis over Devin Haney. Now, this comment... He said he wants Tank, Loma, Haney. And he also criticized Haney's style, saying that Haney's a pretty boring fighter. For me, when you're chasing legacy, when you're chasing greatness, what that proves to me is that, although don't get me wrong, Ryan Garcia v Gervonta Davis is a great fight. For me, Ryan is chasing... Looks like he's chasing... Look, he's a prize fighter, but it looks like he's chasing the paper over the legacy. Because every fighter, every great fighter wants to hold all those belts. If I was a fighter, which I'm not, and I'm in Ryan Garcia's position where I'm a multi-millionaire already, even if I don't succeed in boxing, I'm probably going to succeed in other areas. Financially, Ryan Garcia is already in a great place because he's already got so many followers. I'm pretty sure he's got a lot of brands after him and on Insta that probably pay him for posts and stuff. Because trust me, when you have such a big following on Insta, you know, there's big brands that, you know, are come in and saying, do you want to wear our stuff? And they pay you for that. Huge money. You know, I heard stuff about like Ronaldo posting and he gets a million a post or something like that. Ridiculous. You know, there's some Instagrammers that are making a shed load of money. I know normal people on Instagram that are making ridiculous amount of money. So you can make a lot of money on these social media platforms. And Ryan Garcia, everyone calls him a social media star more than a boxer. They troll him, but you know, he is a boxer. He's not a social media fighter. He's a boxer. I rate Garcia. But in terms of that's weak for me. That this is a guy that's already a multi-millionaire. For me, he should be chasing Devin Haney. Also, Gervonta Davis could knock Bryan Garcia's spark out. Devin Haney doesn't have that kind of power. So it's a less dangerous fight. Yeah, he could get outboxed by Devin Haney. But it's a less dangerous fight. Gervonta Davis could knock him out. So for me, the reason why he wants Gervonta Davis is because Gervonta Davis is a bigger fight financially. It's a bigger fight commercially than Devin Haney, even though Devin Haney is an undisputed champion. But when you're a guy like Ryan Garcia that's never been a champion, right? He's never been world champion. Surely he should be chasing the belts. Like once, if he was able to do what Devin Haney did, or even if he won a belt, and then he wanted to chase the money, then I ain't really got a problem. But at least first become a world champion. That's every fighter's goal, to become a world champion. But Ryan Garcia has become so big without becoming world champion, and he's getting probably paid decent money without becoming world champion. Even Gervonta Davis, when was the last time he was a legit world champion? So, you got a guy there that's got all the straps. He's got all the belts in Devin Haney. Yeah, he's not the most exciting guy to watch, but that's irrelevant. You as a fighter should want to fight him because he's got all the straps, and you want to be in that position where you're holding all the straps. But instead, you're saying, I'd rather fight a guy who has no straps. Just because you know commercially and financially the fight's bigger. You know, Gervonta Davis's team responded and said, let's put this out there. Leonard Ellaby said, Gervonta Davis is the biggest star. And basically, I think the response was about 50-50. So basically what they were saying is there's no way Gervonta is taking 50-50 with Ryan Garcia. Gervonta Davis has a leg up in the sense that Gervonta Davis has been on pay-per-view. Ryan Garcia has never been on pay-per-view. So Ryan Garcia, could he really demand 50-50 in that fight? Probably not. I don't think so. And also, Ryan's never been a world champion. He's never fought. He's never been a world champion. Tank has. So, again, I think Tank has all the leverage, and Tank's done some decent numbers. Again, Ryan Garcia hasn't. So, he's never been on pay-per-view to do any numbers. So, the point I'm trying to make is I don't think you can go to the table and ask Tank for 50-50. Even though I think Ryan Garcia has some leverage, I don't think it's as much as Tank. Just because you have a lot of followers on social media doesn't mean you're a star. It just means that you have a lot of following in a certain crowd. But those numbers haven't translated. If he was that big a star, then all of his fights would be pay-per-view. You know, the fight that he's having with Javier Fortuna would be pay-per-view. The fight that he had with Tagao would be pay-per-view because people just want to see Ryan Garcia. But that's not the case. Because otherwise they would be putting it on pay-per-view if they knew they could do big numbers. But they can't. Because Ryan Garcia doesn't have that pulling power. He might have a big fan base in terms of the younger generation, but he doesn't have a hardcore boxing fan base that are going to pay to watch. Because like his fans aren't going to pay to watch him $50 or $40 to watch him fight. Because a lot of his fans that are following on social media are probably too young to even pay that kind of money. You know, it'd have to be their parents. So for me personally, I think Gervonta Davis in boxing is a bigger star than Ryan Garcia. And I think that's pretty obvious. So I think to ask for 50-50, I can understand why Leonard and Team Mayweather would, you know, not be happy with that. But they need to find a way to somehow make that fight, because that is a very good fight. There's no doubt about it. Gervonta Davis with Ryan Garcia is a wicked fight. It's a great fight. And hopefully they can make that fight. Guys, I want to move on to another topic. My man Daniel Chambers. Daniel Chambers has been asking me to do a review of the Joe Cordina and Gotcha fight. I watched that fight with my brother and my family. It was a great fight. Joe Cordina, there wasn't much to review about because Cordina slammed him in the second round. He hit him with a beautiful right hand that absolutely wiped him out. Cordina's a good fighter. You know, he's a up and coming fighter who's now world champion. There wasn't a Welsh world champion in a very long time. Who was the last Welsh world champion? Was it Lee Selby? But yeah, Joe Cordina definitely looks like a talent, and the way he disposed, the way he battered or knocked out, you know, I can't even say his name. Okancha, I think. I forgot his name, but he's a good fighter. That guy that he was fighting, he was actually a come forward pressure fighter. And I saw his fight with Fazil, and he looked really, really good. Really good. And I actually thought he would beat Cordina. Personally, I thought he would beat Cordina. But Cordina, and the fight was pretty nip and tuck. It was a pretty, so up until that point where he landed that right hand, it was pretty nip and tuck. There wasn't, you know, anyone dominating or anyone on top. And that right hand, he was like a feint to the body, and then he just came right over the top with a massive right hand. It almost reminded me of a Canelo Khan knockout. It wasn't as devastating as that, but it was almost reminiscent of that. You know, it didn't have, obviously, it didn't put him to sleep like Canelo did with Khan, but it was kind of similar. And it was a beautiful, beautiful, clean, what I call a clean knockout. You know, he was gone. He was gone. The referee called it off. Like, there was no need to count. He was done. And yeah, for me, that was a beautiful knockout. And now there's a lot of talk about, I know Stevenson, there's now talk about Stevenson fighting Emmanuel Navarrete. But there was also talk about, you know, Stevenson fighting Joe Cordina. You know, for a fight. And then obviously that would mean that I think Stevenson holds 3, if he beats Cordina, would have 3 belts. I don't think Cordina should go straight after Stevenson. I don't think he wins that fight. I think Stevenson is a box of tricks. and I think it'd be too much for Cordina. I think Cordina needs a lot more experience at this point. Maybe I can't remember who's the other champion. So Stevenson, Cordina, and who's the other one? Super featherweight. Who's the other champion? It's not coming to my head, but maybe Cordina could fight the other champion and look to win that belt, and then obviously they could have an undisputed fight. And actually, Stevenson after the fight even put out there that he'd be willing to fight Cordina. So, but now there's talks about Stevenson fighting Emmanuel Navarrete, which would be an incredible fight as well. But yeah, I think it was a great performance by Cordina, a great knockout, one that will be remembered for years to come, and fair play to him. Another fight that's happening is Dubois v Trevor Bryan this weekend. Daniel Dubois is fighting Trevor Bryan in a fight which is kind of going under the radar. It's not really that big a fight, but Dubois has got an opportunity to win. I think the guy holds a WBA regular, I think. And yeah, I don't know what I make of this, to be honest. I think Dubois will probably knock him out in 2-3 rounds. Dubois is very strong, very good. Trevor Bryan's seen better days. I think Dubois was going to be too much for him, and I think Dubois will knock him out. To be honest with you, I think as soon as Dubois lands something significant, I think Bryan's going to be all over the place. I think Dubois is young, he's fresh, he's hungry. I just think he'll be too much for Bryan at this point in Bryan's career. And then I think what do they do with Dubois if he beats Bryan? What do they do? Do they let him off, the stabilizer? But he's taken a defeat with Joe Joyce not so long ago. Is he ready for another Joe Joyce level of opponent? I reckon Frank Warren might now take it a lot more easier with him, hence why they've gone down the Bryan route. I don't really think this is... Look, heavyweight boxing is always tough because you're one punch away from a disaster, but I do think that this is a pretty safe option, but I do think his fight after this, I think they're going to have to step up his opposition. And who could Daniel Dubois fight? Maybe a Derek Chisora, maybe a Pulev Chisora winner. That might be a good fight, That'd be good. Chisora Pulev winner, I think, was a great fight. I think maybe they should be looking at a Joseph Parker fight. I know people may say that might be not a good idea, but I think that's the kind of level that I think Dubois should be looking at now. He's had a lot of experience. And although Joe Joyce, beat him, I actually thought Daniel Dubois was doing well in that fight. I don't think people make out like Daniel Dubois got battered. Joe Joyce was big and strong, and Dubois couldn't get him out of there. But Dubois, it was Joyce just won that fight with his jab. And, Dubois' eye was messed up, and, Dubois couldn't see, and he took a knee. But I don't really think there was a lot in that fight, I don't think it was as if, like, Dubois was getting totally outclassed. That wasn't the case. The fight was pretty good. And a lot of people thought Dubois would totally destroy Joe Joyce, but Joyce was just very resilient, very strong, very tough. And he kind of all-manned him, really. Just jabbed his eye in that condition, man. His eye was, like, swollen, and yeah, he just jabbed him in that same spot all night, and that was what it was, and Dubois just couldn't come back from that. His eye was messed, and he went down, and that was it. But yeah, I think Dubois knocks out Bryan. What else to talk about? Yeah, man, Andre Ward, inducted into the Hall of Fame, great fighter, legendary career, special talent. Yeah, man. To end the video, I would like to see Ryan Garcia beat Gervonta Davis, because I think it's a fight that everybody wants to see. But I do think that Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney is a good fight. If that fight was offered to him, I think that they should take that fight. But it just shows that Ryan Garcia is obviously not chasing the belts. He's more chasing the bigger fight that's financially bigger. And Ryan's probably looking at it from a spot where, if I'm going to take a risk, I'm going to take a risk for the highest reward. But I like to think he would do that when he becomes a world champion. And by the way, I think Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia is a good fight. A lot of people are going to think Devin Haney's going to totally school him. I think it's a good fight. Ryan's a big guy, big, tall guy. He's fast. He's got quick hands. He's got power. You know, that could be a good fight. That could be a very good fight. So, yeah, man, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis. Leave your thoughts, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.